at it again, and we have an extraordinary story here that has actually been going on for a little while. The East Palestine story in Ohio, or train derailment in Ohio, is absolutely crazy, and how it really hasn't gotten the traction, especially on leftist news outlets, that it should get. You know, it just makes you sit back and wonder. Makes you sit back and think, why? What's happening? Like, what's being covered up, right, with this whole situation? Or what are they trying to distract us from? But anyway, we're going to dive into a little bit of that. Like, share, comment. Hit that subscribe button if you're new. If you would like to donate to the channel too, you can do it via a super thanks right here through the YouTube platform. It should be down below. All right. And with that being said, let's dive in.
I've got one question. Where the hell is Mayor Pete? While he's been busy pointing fingers and raising awareness on the issues of too many whites in construction, 30 million people are at risk of a disastrous chemical catastrophe unfolding in Ohio. I'm Gary Franchi. You want the top news every day? Hit subscribe and turn on your notifications.
Gary Franchi, my guy.
With catastrophic events such as train derailments ravaging communities and apocalyptic disasters claiming innocent lives, one has to wonder why Mayor Pete has chosen to remain silent on this pressing matter. If not from within the government, then who will take responsibility for confronting a disaster that Mayor Pete himself seems intent on ignoring? Where's the accountability? Where are the results? Where is Mayor Pete? Well, the Transportation Secretary, the disgraced Mayor Pete, he disgraced himself at the National Association of Counties Conference by choosing to use the time for cracking jokes and complaining about having too many white people in construction instead of addressing recent occurrences such as the Ohio train catastrophe. As opposed to providing insight and solutions related to the fallout from this disaster, Mayor Pete decided to use his platform as a disgraced failure of a transportation secretary and focus on scoring woke political points, which had nothing to do with the event itself.
Which is another disgusting thing that I hate about the left. But it's now the game that we have to play. Every time there's a tragedy that happens, you always see people on the left come out and try to score their woke political points. You always see it. Every single time. But I'm going to shut up. And yeah, let's hop back into the video. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy.
His failure to address the Ohio tragedy will be remembered amongst those who were looking for answers when his speech should have been focused on solutions. As a result of a train derailing in East Palestine, Ohio, the toxic chemical vinyl chloride has been released into the atmosphere from at least 5 of the derailed tankers, citing a risk of exploding. And they pose a threat to 30 million people, or 10% of the United States population. But Mayor Pete is more concerned with building a workforce that reflects the community. Watch.
To work with your contractors, to work with your community colleges on building a workforce that reflects the community. We have heard way too many stories from generations past of infrastructure where you got a neighborhood, often a neighborhood of color, that finally sees the project come to them, but everyone in the hard hats on that project looking like, you know, doing the good paying jobs, don't look like they came from anywhere near the neighborhood.
Right. What are you saying, Pete? It's literally illegal to discriminate against someone based on race. So what are we talking about here, Pete? There's already a law on the books against it. So what are we talking about, Pete? That's what annoys me. Like, come on. What are we doing? But because there's a bunch of bumbling... You know what? I'm going to say it. But because there's a bunch of bumbling idiots out here on the left that have no clue and just, oh, well, yeah, that's what they said, so that's what we're going to follow. You have stuff like this where they just say a bunch of nothing. He's not saying anything. Oh, well, there's a project that comes into a predominantly black neighborhood and people look at the workforce and they are black. Well, maybe they didn't want to get hired. Did you think of that, Pete? Maybe they didn't apply. Did you think of that, Pete? Or maybe something disqualified them. Did you think of that, Pete? Did you ever take a second to think, maybe those guys that are actually on the job already were better qualified? Just think of that, Pete. Of course you didn't. Of course you didn't, because you want to score your woke, stupid little points. I mean, my goodness, this stuff is just, I mean, it's terrible, man. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible.
You can build community wealth that will help close wealth gaps in this country if we can tear down those barriers.
And why the hell is he talking about wealth gaps and workforces anyway, when he's supposed to be in charge of transportation? Last time I checked, we've had multiple issues with transportation. I wonder why. Because, first off, we have somebody who, why is he even in charge of transportation? Well, no. That's a rhetorical question. We all know why he's in charge of transportation. He's got one of the woke Infinity Stones, you know? But, like, Pete, like, I don't know, man. This stuff.
But that happens at the delivery level.
A whole lot of woke nonsense right there.
Sure is.
While Mayor Pete plays diversity cop, toxic fumes fill the skies of Ohio. Watch.
This morning, a cloud of uncertainty in eastern Ohio.
It's basically a mushroom cloud. I mean, there's really no other way to describe it.
This giant plume of smoke and fire erupting into the sky Monday afternoon in a controlled release, burning for hours with hazardous material. It prompted evacuations in Ohio and Pennsylvania.
I know it was alarming.
It prompted evacuations.
Look at that sky. Look at the sky. And I've come across a few different videos on social media. Now, I can't confirm whether or not they were real, legit videos. But I've come across the video where a guy was showing the sky that looked similar to that. And he was like, those aren't storm clouds. Those are clouds from the BS that they're burning. That smoke is that thick. This is insane, guys. This is really insane.
In Ohio and Pennsylvania.
I know it was alarming to see the big plume of smoke and the fire, but I want to reassure Pennsylvanians that the process is proceeding as planned.
At least 5 of the 50 derailed cars were filled with vinyl chloride. It's toxic and extremely flammable. The chemical can cause vomiting and is associated with an increased risk of liver cancer and other cancers. Residents here are dealing with the smell of chemicals.
The odor was very strong, even over a mile away.
Buckeye Nation,
Rail operator
baby.
Norfolk Southern saying their plan was completed successfully, draining the chemicals into a trench.
Inside that trench will be flares lining that trench that then will light off the material.
Ohio's governor telling me this was the least harmful option.
We think this is the choice that will save lives.
Ohio's emergency management agency telling ABC they don't believe there's a threat to the water or air, but they'll continue to test both in the coming days and weeks.
And where exactly is the transportation secretary? Oh yeah, he's busy cracking jokes because it's an exciting time for transportation. Watch.
But it couldn't be a more exciting time for transportation. It's had its challenges.
Right.
I mean, if you look at what the American transportation systems have faced in the last 2 or 3 years, partly because of the pandemic, we've faced issues from container shipping to airline cancellations. Mm-hmm. Now we got balloons.
That's right.
But also the best time ever to be working in transportation because of these resources. And
oh, the resources. Yeah, it's such an exciting time for transportation that Mayor Pete probably thinks all the smoke in Ohio is from the local Railway Days celebration. But no, Pete, they basically just nuked the town. Watch.
We now know 3 more chemicals that were on board the Norfolk Southern train that derailed here in East Palestine just over a week ago. And we're being told that some of those chemicals are dangerous.
We basically nuked the town with chemicals so we could get a railroad open. There's a lot of what ifs, and we're going to be looking at this thing 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the line and wondering, gee, cancer clusters could pop up, well water could go bad.
Caggiano recommends anyone who's in the East Palestine area get a health checkup. He says get a record now of where your health stands so that moving forward you'll have documentation of any possibly related effects to the train derailment.
It appears that Sil Caggiano is doing more for the community than Mayor Pete, grabbing photo ops to prove how woke he is. Representative Andy Biggs reacted. The recent train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, is nothing short of a tragedy. This is another transportation failure under Mayor Pete's leadership. Where is he? Todd Mann tweeted, has Mayor Pete figured out a way to blame the Ohio train derailment chemical cloud catastrophe on racism yet? Logan Hall chimed in on Twitter, tweeting, people wondering why Mayor Pete would ignore the Ohio catastrophe while airing the regime's racial grievances against white men fundamentally misunderstand Mayor Pete's job. It was never about transportation. This is exactly what he was hired for. Meanwhile, officials are reporting another train derailment in Enory, South Carolina, Texas, that occurred on Monday afternoon. And according to the Montgomery,
I believe there's multiple. I think there's one, like you said, in South Carolina, and then also another in Texas, I believe, that have happened, recently as well. Which, and listen, this is the thing. Now, I don't know. I haven't sat down and really dove into the history of it. Now, I don't know if we're just being sensitive about this because we're our senses are heightened because of everything that's going on. Or this is just a common occurrence, right? Like I said, I don't know if something serious is going on, or this is just a common occurrence, and it just so happens that our senses are heightened, so we're paying attention to it. Anybody that has looked into this more, please let me know in the as far as the history goes. Please let us all know in the comment section if this is a common thing, because I feel like that's possible to, it's possible that could happen, right? Certain things happen, and because we're all, looking around right now, we're like, oh, there's another one. Oh, there's another one. But because we were already trying to pay attention to these things. It's like, for example, you ever been in a situation where you bought a car and then all of a sudden you see that car everywhere? You know what I mean? Because now your brain is paying attention to it. So I don't know if that's the case. Like I said, anybody that has any numbers can let us all know in the comment section, please.
County Sheriff's Office in Texas, emergency crews responded to yet another train derailment along the East Tex Freeway in the Splendora area Monday morning.
But then on top of all of that, things are getting bad when someone on the left calls out Pete. Yeah, because as we know, leftists all walk in lockstep. They never disagree with each other, ever. They're always in agreement with one another. Check this out.
I love these two facts together. You don't hear anything, Tommy, from any of the environmentalists, the windmill solar panel crew.
True.
But who do you hear from? Far left squad member Ilhan Omar actually ripping Buttigieg's response, writing, quote, East Palestine railroad derailment will have a significant negative impact on the health and well-being of the residents for decades, and there is almost zero media attention. We need congressional inquiry and direct action from Pete Buttigieg to address this tragedy. So, Tommy, how bad are you at your job when even Ilhan Omar calls you out?
You are really terrible. Absolutely garbage. Garbage. And I can't wait to get these bozos, these absolute despicable clowns out of office. I mean, my goodness. I mean, the laundry list of just terrible decision making and stuff happening is just so long at this point. It's ridiculous. I mean, just in the past month alone. I mean, from you could talk about the air balloon that traveled across the entire country. That, oh no, it's fine, guys, it's fine. Oh, after a whole week or however long that was and traveling across the entire country, oh, now, yeah, we'll shoot that thing down. Now, you know, we got this also, obviously, this whole train derailment situation. And oh, man. Sheesh Louise. You know, sometimes I just wonder. What is going through some of these people's heads? Like, it literally has to be filled with air. Legit. Nothing but space. Empty space. Anyway, y'all let me know what you thought about this one in the comment section below. Like, share, comment. Hit that subscribe button before you go. Peace and love. I'm out.